Hello everyone, welcome to another very inspiring but emotional episode of Unmasked. And today I'm very excited because we're meeting with Alex and we're going to be talking about his story. Now the topic today is body dysphoria. So Alex was actually born a female and went by the name of Lauren. So we're going to talk about the gender transition. So let's go and meet him. Hi Alex, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. Come inside, come inside. I'm really excited to chat about your whole journey. It's a very interesting journey and one that I feel like, unfortunately, is still a very sensitive topic out there. So I really want to, debunk all that negativity surrounded by it because, you're very kind, loving soul, and it's really important we share your story with all these lovely people as well and, really make a long-lasting change. So let's go have a chat. So Alex, I want to go right back to the beginning. So tell me your story right from the get-go. When did things started feeling, I guess, odd to you?
Well, I guess it kind of all began pretty much as soon as school started, but obviously I didn't know at that time what it was, but I was always kind of like your black sheep kind of character, like I didn't fit in. I wasn't exactly your tomboy type, which is normal, I guess, but I wasn't your girly girl either. Like, I wasn't into sports or dresses. I was just kind of a nerd at the time, I suppose. I guess it kind of came around why I was different around when puberty started, because obviously the biological changes occurred, and that's when I kind of realized something was wrong. But at that time I was thinking maybe this is normal, like all biologically female people hate what's happening to their body and dislike everything that happens. But as I began to continue developing, I realized that my hatred and dislike of what was happening to me was so much more than what other females were experiencing. And for a long time I was still very uncertain of what was happening, like what I was and who I was supposed to be. So for a long period of time I questioned myself, thinking maybe this is just a phase, maybe this isn't actually who I am, maybe I'm just doing this for attention, because in my past that's what people would say about everything I'd do, is that it was just for attention. So it kind of was ingrained in my head that this could just be another attention stunt that I was subconsciously doing without knowing. But around, I don't know, 2016 maybe, I saw the term transgender and I was starting to try and experiment more with who I wanted to be and what I wanted to wear and how I wanted to act. But for a while I was still very uncertain on the term I wanted to identify as. But as I would present more male, I would have friends who would call me male, who would call me by the name of Alex, because it was more a gender neutral name at the time. I realized how much better I felt with those terms, with those names, with those pronouns, and how I was dressing. So it was actually only last year that I came out fully, both to the public and to myself, that I was a transgender male. And that's when I finally accepted that that's what I was and that I would have to do something about that. It took a long time to deal with. Like, even to this day I still struggle with looking in the mirror and seeing things that aren't right, that give me away, that have giant neon signs that say I'm a girl, this is a female body, this is a female voice, and that kind of thing. So for a long time I would look in the mirror and I would try not to at all points. I would struggle showering. I would even struggle brushing my teeth because there was a mirror in the bathroom. I would not go to the bathroom, like I wouldn't use the bathroom at all if I could. Like, I would get to the point where I was pretty much causing myself to have bladder infections because I was trying to stop going to the bathroom because of how my body functioned. And I would not speak for as long as possible to hide that my voice was feminine. It's a really hard situation to go through, especially at a young age. So yeah.
So you felt obviously very alone.
Yeah.
Did you have friends or family that kind of were there for support, or at least understood the situation, or did you really go through this alone?
At that time, I was very much alone. I did try to come out around 14 to my family, and they were very unaccepting. They were just, no, you're being ridiculous, like this isn't real, like that's not you, it's a phase. And at that point, I was still very much alone at high school, so I didn't really have people there for me. I did know of people who were a little bit ahead of me in their transition, but at that point, I was just I felt so alone and I felt so helpless that I hid myself away from everyone I could, because it just felt like there was no point, I wasn't going to get anywhere, and that this was all a phase and I'd get over it. And these people were real transgenders and I wasn't. I was just doing it for attention.
So for you, what was the switch then? What made you realize that, hang on a second, I was born a female, I'm now a male, you know, I want to go by the name of Alex, that's where I feel most comfortable. What changed?
I guess the change really was when my dysphoria didn't stop, and when I would feel so much better wearing male clothes and having a flat chest and all that kind of stuff that all transgender people do eventually, and just noticing how much better I'd feel when people would call me he and him and call me Alex rather than my birth name. And it just flipped the switch for me that, hey, it's been 4 or 5 years. This is not a joke. This is not a phase anymore. Like, this is who I actually am. And I had to convince myself of that. And I finally come to that point in time where I'm comfortable and confident enough to say, hey, I am transgender, I am male, and that's who I am, and nothing can change that.
Yeah, and there's so many people out there like yourself going through the same stages, and I guess what advice would you give to these people?
I guess, well, I probably got the short end of the stick, because I know a lot of people have accepting families. Some people have accepting families, but not many of us do. And it might seem like they'll never change, they'll never get better, but slow progress is better than no progress. And my family is slowly getting better with accepting me. It's very slow progress, but again, slow is better than no. And it's just finding the people in life that will accept you, and finding communities that will accept you. And I know that it can feel hopeless, and that you'll never transition. You'll never be seen as male. You'll never have people call you male. You'll never start hormones. You'll never get surgery. But it's just a very slow process, but it does happen. If you try and you just keep believing that it can happen, as cliche as it might sound, it does happen. This time last year, I didn't believe I would ever start hormones, and December of last year, that's when I started, and it was a miracle in my mind, but it does happen. And it can happen to everyone if that's what they want. So
take me through your journey so far with these hormones.
So hormones, obviously, it's like going through a second puberty. So I've only just started, so there aren't a lot of changes yet. But it can be very intense because of this sudden rush of hormones that your body isn't used to having so much of. So you can get a lot of like intense hunger and emotional changes and stuff. But for a long time, depending on your genetics, you might not see changes at all. I've been lucky enough to have a little bit of a voice drop a month in, and my face shape has changed slightly since I started, which is great. And you see small things in yourself that people might not see, or people see things in you that you might not see. Like, I didn't notice some things about me until somebody else pointed them out, and it shows, and it makes you feel so much better knowing that you have the right hormones in your body, and this is the puberty you were supposed to go through.
What's the transgender community like at the moment? Now being 2019, do you think people are more accepting or less accepting?
I feel like it really depends, because I feel like there is a lot more accepting people in the world, but at the same time there are people who might be taking it too far. There are still those people who are like, I identify as an attack helicopter, and that kind of thing, that it kind of makes us seem like it's a joke still. And there's always going to be people like that who don't think we're real, who don't think that we should go to the bathroom as in the bathroom we identify as. And I myself have had experience with that, with someone yelling at me for being in a male bathroom. But there are so many more people and so many more areas of the world that are so much more accepting. Like, even my university has people going into bathrooms as whatever they identify as. Like, that's not an issue. And the community is getting a lot better in general at accepting us for who we are. But of course, there will always be people who aren't as accepting due to their age and how they grew up and their religious status. But it's finding the people in life who do accept you and like ignoring the ones who don't. That's what matters.
So how can we get to that ideal future?
Honestly, I'm not really sure if we can ever get to that ideal future, but I guess it's educating people as much as possible, because we'll always have people who put religion before science and like their beliefs before other people's lives. But to get to a place where most people are accepting, it's mainly about educating people about what we are and what happens and what mentally is actually happening within our brains, rather than just thinking we're choosing to be this way, and what dysphoria is and the different types of dysphoria and everything that goes on in a transgender person's life, and educating those people and having them realize that this is real, this happens, and you might not know it, but you probably have met a transgender person in your life and you don't even know. You've just seen them and thought, that's a woman, but they might be biologically male. You don't know, because obviously you don't see what's in their pants or what their history is.
Yeah, and just lastly, to finish off, you know, what's the ultimate piece of advice you can give to someone going through the situation right now?
I guess the biggest piece of advice I can probably give someone is that slow progress is better than no progress. Like, it might not seem to you that you are making progress, but that's because you see yourself every day. But people who don't see you every day can see the change. And getting help from professionals and friends and accepting family members is such a big difference, because then you have those people who see those changes and tell you those changes are happening if you don't see them yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And look, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, you know, and we have to work together to be more accepting for one another, and definitely in turn we can help make the world a better place. So it's really important that, you know, a lot of people out there going through similar situations with yourself, you know, feel like they can come out and talk about their experiences. It's so important, because that's the only way we're ever going to make progress, is the more people that just speak out about their experiences, and that is what this is all about. So thank you so much, Alex, for sharing your story. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All good.
Thank you. Awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this incredible episode with Alex. I really appreciate you sharing your story about your transgender journey and how people out there like you can help improve their way of life by just being open and accepting. So please, if you are going through a similar situation to Alex, go out, seek help. There's plenty of hotlines out there, people you can talk to about your situation. Thank you so much everyone, and we'll see you again real soon.